I really rate the Nouns community. It's not because the NFTs are selling for over 100 ETH. And no, I don't own any Nouns, so I'm not shilling you this project. Community Coach does not shill. I'm a Web3 fan, and it's not because of the money. So I'm not freaking out about this bear market. I don't know how the rest of you are coping, but I hope you're doing okay. But back to Nouns, they have ticked so many boxes of what I've talked about so much in my channel. The necessary ingredients to build a strong project with community at its core. They've just done some really, really cool stuff for their community. So let's look at how they've put this theory of building a community into practice. Firstly, their messaging is really clear, and it's easy for anybody that's new to their project to get on board to understand what they're about. So let's take a look at the website, which is usually the first point of call for a lot of people when trying to understand a project. So firstly, I can see an auction taking place here on their website, which I instantly think, wow, this is different. And when I scroll down, I see that they have said here, one noun every day forever. Very clear messaging. All right, so I'm starting to understand that there's an auction. There is one noun that is auctioned every day forever. And then they've got WTF, because that is literally what most people would be thinking. Why would you generate an NFT every day forever? Surely that would reduce the value. And they go on to explain what they're trying to do. And so I think what's really great is they've almost like anticipated what people would be thinking when they jump on their page. Nouns is a very experimental project. So they go through and explain what they're trying to do, the background. So they talk about projects such as CryptoPunks and what they tried to do. They attempted to bootstrap the digital community and identity, but Nouns are actually taking it to the next level where they're looking at governance and a treasury. And you can see if I scroll back up here, I can see that there is a community treasury. I can see exactly the amount of funds here. And I can also see that they have a DAO here and some docs. So I'm scrolling through this and I'm starting to understand what they're trying to do, what is their purpose here. It seems to me like they're really trying to be at the frontier of Web3. These are people that clearly have been in the Web3 space for a while. If you look at the summary, I can see values that are important to them. And these are the same types of values that are important to people that are very deep in the Web3 space. So this is going to be speaking to those people and encouraging them to be a part of the community. So if you're creating a community, keep this in mind. What are some of the key values that are really important to your project or your brand, your company, and that should resonate with the types of people that you want to join your own community? What's also really important is it's not just words on a website. So with the Nouns project, they've literally built the Nouns protocol, which is a suite of smart contracts that generates and auctions these nouns every day. Now, the protocol serves as an open standard for generative art, which is the Nouns. So all of this is telling me, all right, that this is definitely experimental, but they're actually experimenting. They're actually doing it. They're not just talking about doing it. That's the important part. And when you go through and see that part of their values, you can see in the summary, the first bullet point they mentioned is that the Nouns artwork is in the public domain. This is something that is actually important to a lot of people in the Web3 space. I think a lot of people in the Web3 space are probably sick of hearing about this concept called CC0. And if you want to know more about CC licensing, etc., feel free to look this up. I guarantee there's a lot out there on the web about it. But just know that it is something that is important to a lot of people in the Web3 space. What's important to note is that with this project, because the art was released under the public domain, it means that developers can build without restriction on the protocol at the smart contract or application layer. So this means that people can build upon their project. And I think that's integral to the Web3 space, is encouraging things to get better and truly being an open project. I'll show you an example of how this actually took place, where people in the Nouns community took that protocol and created their own projects. It's just super cool to see. It's not just all words, there's action. And that's the key point that I'm trying to make here, is that they're not just putting words on a website. You can see it actually taking place in real time. Another example is they talk about the importance of open source. Well, anyone is allowed to use the nouns as part of their profile pic. Anyone is allowed to build on top of the nouns project. If we go to the docs section, they clearly talk about the history of nouns, what they are. It's super clear. All sales of the nouns go back to the community treasury. They talk about the importance of the nouns virtuous cycle. And this is where, if you're in the community space, it gets pretty interesting, to be honest, because you can really deep dive into what's important to them, what is the culture of nouns, and what are they trying to achieve here. They're trying to be different. They're not trying to be just another avatar project. They have the community treasury, they have the DAO. The treasury feeds back into the culture via the DAO. They have new projects that are built upon. The treasury can fund those new projects. Nouns is an open source project and protocol. The code that creates nouns, and critically even the art, is open source. So they put it back into the public domain so that anyone can build on the artwork, just like they can build on the code base. The language is also really personal. So I feel like I can truly understand the people behind the project. They want to be bold. They want to take risks. They want to attract the builders who can take the raw ingredients of the nouns protocol and turn them into applications that are ready to be consumed by the world. It's a huge purpose and there's a huge mission here. This isn't going to attract the quick flippers. And so they've been very specific about the right types of people that belong here. Again, messaging is super clear. Now let's look at their brand. Their brand is very strong as well. First up, you can see that the actual NFTs themselves, they have these glasses and they're instantly recognizable. In fact, they've taken these glasses and put them on other characters and nounified other characters. Those that founded the nouns are called nounders, and you're part of the nouniverse. It's generally super geeky and it relates to people that are at the frontier of the Web3 space. They encourage the broader community to build upon their project. So they're open rather than closed. And it means that you get incredible derivative projects. For instance, check out Nounnabees, which is a play on Sotheby's, where fine art pieces like the Mona Lisa have been nounified into the Nouna Lisa. The community also voted to create a derivative project called Lil Nouns, which is really about opening the universe or the nouniverse to people who couldn't afford the high price of nouns. So think similar to Bored Ape Yacht Club and how they introduced the mutants to really extend the community. So this is why Little Nouns was born. You can see the brand is so strong that, again, they have replicated the Nouns website and they've really taken it to be their own, but still playing very strongly to the Nouns branding and universe. You can see how they think about their project. It's really different to other projects that would potentially be really upset if their project got copied and forked, etc. But this is different. This is like saying, well, if you build upon our project, you're actually strengthening our brand. The Nouns project is incredibly transparent, and I've talked about the importance of this. The Nounders are clearly doxed on their website, and you can follow them on Twitter. You can understand more about their backgrounds. The rewards themselves are cleverly tied to the success of the project itself. And if you want to see how much is in the treasury of this project, like I mentioned, it's on the top left-hand corner at all times. Now, providing value back to members, I talk about the importance of this a lot. Let's take a look at the DAO itself. The fact that this project is community run, and it truly is. If you look at the DAO, you can see all the proposals here that are active where community members can vote on future projects like Nouns at Art Basel. You've got a proposal here around Nouns DAO esports. potential partnerships, New York City murals. You can see the actual proposals that have been executed, like Nouns Coffee, for instance. This may seem really random to somebody that's not part of the project, like, okay, why are they creating coffee? But if this is important to the people in the Nouns community, and they've also discussed this in detail why it would be important, the majority of the Nouns community has actually gone ahead and approved this. So it is important to them to execute this. You can see who was for the proposal and who was against. They use Snapshot here, which I love. I've talked about that platform a lot, and I will link a video to that platform below if you're interested in learning more about how Web3 communities actually go ahead and vote. You can see that this system has worked really well for them. They've got the treasury that is community managed, and the proposals that have been executed, those have been funded, just as mentioned. So they're proving that they're actually going ahead and making decisions. One of those decisions was the setup of a spin-off DAO called NOUNS DAO, which is an extreme sports extension of NOUNS DAO and stewards of Nouns athletes. So you can see the branding just keeps getting built upon, and people who are really passionate about specific things in the Nouns community are putting the proposals forward to the Nouns community, and you're seeing that people are actually taking action and creating these spin-off communities. They're like sub-communities that are being created. The NOUNS DAO has $230,000 that they were allocated to spend on extreme athlete sponsorship and funding their travels. The point is, you can see that all the decisions that are being made by the community, they're actually happening. There's actually things that are taking place. Now, of course, whether this will be successful, it's unknown. The Nouns founders or the Nounders have said that all of this is experimental, but they're just backing up their claims. Like whatever they've said that they're going to be doing on the website, you can see it actually taking place. That's the important part to take note. It's really providing value to their community. They welcome the community to build upon their vision. They're not centralizing it. They're not controlling it within the Nounders team. I'm here for it. I think the Nounders have set the boundaries, and all proposals must be submitted and voted by the members. But in general, there is this openness in the community and a push for innovation and creativity. There's plenty of information for people to understand more about the Nouns, and it's clearly organized. So you can see they've used Notion here, and you can explore more about the Nouns, the brief introduction, what's important to them. I've mentioned the Nouns virtuous cycle, how to build on top of Nouns, and how to submit a proposal to the DAO. What you'll notice is there's no roadmap here. Forget the roadmap. You go straight to the DAO, you look at all the proposals and the status of the proposals. That's your roadmap. It's so transparent. You want to see how many people and projects are part of this Nouns DAO ecosystem? Well, they've included it in the Nouns Center. And I feel like this is like exhibiting your community members' work and showing other people in the Nouns ecosystem what others are working on to support each other. It's incredible to take a look through this, and you can see that by the Nounders creating the right types of boundaries, this is the result. Like somebody has created a Facebook AR filter with the Nouns glasses. It's just strengthening the Nouns brand. You've got Nounks as well, which is pretty funny. Anybody that's deep into the Web3 system is going to be loving this because it touches upon so many aspects of being in Web3. Now, when I went to take a look at their Discord, what I noticed was they are tight on security. And I think this is a great thing. We all know how Discords are getting hacked, they're getting spammed, and obviously this project would be a huge target. So what I noticed was they were actually well ahead of the curve, and they took it seriously in terms of restricting bot accounts joining the server in order to reduce spam. So they protected their members, putting their members first. Those that didn't go ahead and pass the CAPTCHA, they lost access to channels until they performed the CAPTCHA. But if I scroll back through the beginning of the Discord, I can still see the announcements that are actually taking place from August last year onwards. What I've noticed about their announcements channel is it's super clean and it's easy to stay updated as a member. They've created the announcement in a way that, again, it's just easy to digest. It's not a mountain of text. I've seen some announcements where I feel like it's essays that are being written and I'd need at least a good 20 minutes to get through all the information. And most members don't have that time. So keep things really simple to the point. They've told their members what they've done. So they've opened a GitHub repository, which again, this is really central to their mission. They're a project about like actually experimenting and executing. So that makes sense to me that they've opened up their GitHub repository. This is where the community members could find the smart contracts that power the Nouns protocol. This is encouraging actual involvement by community members in a very real way. They're very open to the community about it. Jump in and play with it as you wish. Go for it. They've offered a way for people to get started, and then they've offered a place for people to ask questions. So they've said, go to the developers channel if you do have questions about how to build upon our project. They also released documentation to help get started. So think of this like the onboarding guide for community members. Generally, information was provided and it was just super clear and to the point. And you can see that that further information was either on GitHub or via their Notion site. They then posted about their vision, which I've mentioned again, how important that is. And you can see that what they're doing is they're actually seeding to their community members get to know the project better, how the art is encoded, rendered, and accessed on-chain. So if you're super geeky and into this space, then this is the type of information that you're going to find really valuable. And this is how they're providing value to the members via the announcements channel. So they're providing the information, providing that value, and then they're also providing them ways to actually go in, access the GitHub repo and go and start building. You can see that the result of that was all those incredible projects that I had shown you guys before that have been created by the community. You can see in terms of cadence as well, like how often they had actually provided announcements at the start. So they had the 21st of August, and then the 30th of August. So sort of like 1 week. It's just really high quality though with the announcements. So keeping things simple, they're not long. You can see that these are easily digestible pieces of information. They also gave acknowledgement to the community members that were active in the ecosystem really early on. So you can see on the 22nd of October, they had a new role to commemorate builders who've gone through the proposal process and are actively building. So you can see from August to October, they'd already created a new role, the prop builder. They mentioned how important the prop builders are to the culture and the future of the project. They say Nouns is a pro-builder culture, one that prioritizes builders who through their art show us what is possible. Thank you for vision, enthusiasm, and hard work. Do not underestimate the power of acknowledging and recognizing your community members. So there you have it. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Nouns project and whether you have experience of being part of their community. I love that the community discovery phase is really strong. Their messaging is super clear. I understand their purpose. Their values are very clear. It's throughout the project. It's not just on the website. They're executing their values. You can actually see them encompassing the values in the protocols that they're building and in the boundaries that are being set. It's an open-minded community that are truly open. You know, they've created art that's released under the public domain. Developers can build without restriction on the protocol. They have full transparency of their team. They have tons of resources. In their doc section, they talk clearly about the project, what the history is, what they're all about, what they're trying to achieve. Where do all the sales go of the Nouns? They have the community treasury. It's all transparent. I can see exactly how much is in the community treasury and what has been spent so far, who has received those funds, what has been created so far by the Nouns project and all the derivatives. We can see all the projects that have been created. The brand is super strong. I can recognize any of these nouns based From the glasses alone and the eyes, it's just a really recognizable brand. The wording choices that they've used, such as nounders and nouniverse and nounified things, they've used the power of other communities as well. They encourage other communities. It's not closed off. Lil Nouns, you have Nounabees, you have all these other projects where people are really, really passionate, and the nouns are actually empowering their community members to go ahead and keep building. So they're truly providing value back to their community members. They have a community treasury and they actually put their money where their mouth is. Community has a push for innovation and creativity. It's really fun to stay updated with this project. Even as somebody that's not part of the community, I really enjoy seeing what they're working on. I can see their roadmap being executed in real time thanks to all the proposals that are super transparent within the community. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you heard about the Nouns project? What do you think about their community? Are there any other communities that you highly rate that you think I should be paying attention to? I hope you found this useful, and if you'd like me to cover more communities in depth like this one, let me know. Hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.